Welcome to today's explainer. You know when you get totally obsessed with a story? Like you're binge watching a show until 3 a.m. or a book is just living rent-free in your head? We usually forget one massive detail about those moments. They didn't just happen by accident. That story was meticulously engineered to hijack your brain. So today, we are pulling back the curtain. We're going to dismantle the illusion of story to show you the ultimate interconnected machine underneath. Okay, let's get into it. Fiction isn't just, random vibes. It's actually built from literal genetic building blocks. Think about it like human DNA coding our traits. The DNA of a story holds the exact instructions that determine if a narrative is going to be an absolute masterpiece, a devastating tragedy, or just a flat-out flop.
Here is our game plan for today. We're going through 1. The story machine's DNA. 2. Characters, settings, and worlds. 3. Plot mechanics and core conflict. 4. Perspective, theme, and tone. And 5. The interconnected fiction machine.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the story machine's DNA, the building blocks. So, if you want to build a world that absolutely hooks people, you've got to look closely at these 7 primary gears. We've got character, setting, plot, conflict, point of view, theme, and tone. And keep in mind, this is a super delicate ecosystem. You literally can't remove a single one of these without the entire structure collapsing.
Moving right along to Section 2, characters, settings, and worlds, the people and the place.
Let's be real, without characters, the audience has zero emotional hook. We need someone to root for, or, love to hate. And we basically have 2 main types of actors here. First, you've got dynamic characters. These are the ones who undergo a massive internal transformation. Think Ebenezer Scrooge. His whole story is entirely about his character arc. But then you have static characters, like Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock doesn't have some massive emotional shift. He just remains his brilliant, highly eccentric self. He acts as the steady anchor in a swirling mystery. Both types are absolutely vital to the machine.
So a protagonist giving off major main character energy needs a goal, sure, but they also desperately need a flaw. And they absolutely must clash against an antagonist. Take Katniss Everdeen. She is driving the action to survive, but her internal conflict, like trying to keep her humanity intact, is just as crucial as her external beef with President Snow. And remember, the antagonist doesn't even have to be a person. It can be nature, society, or even the protagonist's own mind.
But your characters can't just float in a void, right? They need a world. We build that through 3 specific settings. Physical, which is your geography and weather, temporal, which is the era or even just the time of day, and cultural. The cultural setting is huge. It dictates the societal norms, the laws, and the overall vibe of the community. It defines what's considered normal, and more importantly, what is dangerous. And honestly, setting is way more than just a background aesthetic. In The Great Gatsby, the toxic 1920s vibe is actually what drives the plot. The extreme wealth, the reckless partying, the really sharp class divides on Long Island, that cultural setting establishes the rules of the world and directly triggers the tragedy. You literally could not tell that exact story in a modern-day coffee shop.
Which brings us to Section 3, plot mechanics and core conflict, the action. Let's look at how things actually happen. Okay, this quote by E.M. Forster is a total mind-blown moment. The king died and then the queen died is just a flat timeline. It's boring. But the king died and then the queen died of grief, that is causality. One event forces the next to happen. That chain reaction is the secret sauce that forces a viewer to hit next episode.
We can literally map that chain reaction out into 5 steps. Exposition introduces the players, then the inciting incident drops a bomb and kicks things into gear. Rising action is just an escalating series of obstacles and complications, pushing us right to the climax, which is the absolute peak of tension. Finally, resolution leaves us in the aftermath, establishing the new normal.
But listen, none of that plot stuff works if you don't have conflict. Conflict is the struggle between opposing forces. If your protagonist wants something and absolutely nothing is stopping them, well, you don't have a story. No conflict equals zero tension, and zero tension means your audience is clicking off immediately.
Let's slide into Section 4, perspective, theme, and tone, the lens and the vibe. Point of view is basically where you place the camera. First person gives us intense intimacy. We are literally trapped inside the character's head.
Third-person limited steps outside but stays tightly zoomed into one specific character's thoughts. And third-person omniscient? That gives us a godlike narrator who knows everyone's past, present, future, and secrets, showing us exactly what the author wants us to see at any moment.
Harry Potter is a masterclass in this. It is mostly third-person limited, meaning we only know what Harry knows. When Dumbledore or Snape makes sudden, shocking moves, we are totally caught off guard right alongside Harry. If the books were omniscient, we'd have known their secret plans the whole time, and the suspense would be totally ruined.
Now, beneath all that plot is the theme, the big so what. It's a universal truth, not some preachy, heavy-handed moral. Like Jurassic Park isn't just about dinosaurs are scary. The actual theme is the danger of scientific hubris and humanity's absolute failure to control nature.
Then you have tone, which is basically the author's attitude, created by their style and diction. Think about it. You could write a funeral scene with a somber tone, focusing on heavy grief and loss. Or you could write the exact same funeral with a darkly comedic tone, focusing entirely on the absolute absurdity of petty relatives fighting over an inheritance. The tone is what gives the story its unique personality.
Finally, we are at Section 5, the interconnected fiction machine putting it together.
The biggest takeaway from this whole explainer is that you cannot isolate these 7 elements. They absolutely do not exist in a vacuum. Altering just one fundamentally shifts the entire machine. You can't drop a static character into a plot built for massive personal growth, and you definitely can't swap out the cultural setting without completely changing the core conflict. So, I'm going to leave you with a little thought experiment to let this all sink in. Imagine taking a classic Western, with all its themes of lawlessness and revenge, and moving its setting entirely to outer space. Suddenly, your physical and cultural settings are vastly different. How does the conflict change when survival means fighting the actual vacuum of space? How does the tone shift? The story machine relies on every single piece working together. If you enjoyed this explainer and want to dive deeper into how things are made, make sure to hit that like button, share this with a friend, and subscribe to the channel. Keep looking for the hidden mechanics in your favorite stories, and I'll catch you in the next one.